You can live the same day 1,000 times and never once be alive in it. I know because I have. The mornings blurred one into the next. The alarm buzzed, the shower hissed, the toothbrush scraped, the emails blinked awake before I had even taken a breath. I drove the same road to the same office, ate at the same desk, walked home with the same weight in my shoulders. At the time, I told myself I was living responsibly, efficiently, sensibly. But somewhere in that chain of repeated acts, whole years dissolved like dust slipping through my fingers. There is a strange cruelty in repetition. On one side, it can carry us like a river, steady, grounding, familiar. On the other, it can bury us alive, each day indistinguishable from the last. And the more the sameness thickens, the more a dull numbness creeps in. The edges of memory blur. We forget what year it is, not because of age, but because nothing in our living marked itself as alive enough to remember. So here is the question that presses me even now. When does repetition deaden us? And when does it make life sacred? Because the truth is, not every repeated act is hollow. I have seen repetition glow with meaning. My late partner used to boil water for tea every evening, always the same. The kettle whistling, the teacup steaming, the way her hands curved gently around the porcelain as though it were both ordinary and holy. It was the same act every day, but never once did it feel lifeless. Each evening she poured hot water over leaves, and each evening it felt alive because she was. That memory has unsettled me ever since. Why did her tea ritual breathe while my own repetitions suffocated me? Why did her sameness open wonder while mine dissolved into numbness? The lineage I carry, though I only came to name it later, whispers that presence, not novelty, is what dignifies the repeated act. There are traditions that treat repetition as doorway, not prison. That to fold one's hands, to light a candle, to bow the head, to take the same step on the same floor at the same hour, is not meaningless duplication, but a sanctification of the ordinary. The act itself never promised aliveness, but the attention you bring to it can. I confess, I brushed my teeth, checked my emails, commuted and lost whole years. Efficiency was my altar, numbness my offering. I told myself I was surviving. I didn't realize I was dissolving. So before we go further, I ask you what I have asked myself. Which of your routines are carrying you unseen into forgetfulness? And which, if any, have you dared to live as ritual, as meaning, repeated? The lie is simple, almost seductive. Routine keeps us efficient, and efficiency is enough. It's the hum of the culture we swim in. That life is about maximizing time, squeezing the minutes, doing as much as possible with as little waste as possible. We convince ourselves that if we get through the checklist, keep the machine running, stay on schedule, then we have lived well. But efficiency is not aliveness. Efficiency only keeps the body alive. It does not awaken the soul. I fell for that lie for decades. I told myself that showing up at the same desk at the same hour with the same determination was what it meant to be a good man, a reliable father, a competent worker. I filled the hours, but I did not fill them with life. Routine became a cage, a gilded one perhaps, lined with paychecks and respectability. But a cage nonetheless, and inside I grew dull. My eyes scanned, my hands moved, my voice answered, but something deeper in me had gone to sleep. And sleep, when stretched long enough, is indistinguishable from death. The false promise of routine is that sameness secures you. That predictability saves you from chaos. But in reality, routine drains when it is divorced from presence. It makes you efficient at missing your own life. Look at the micro behaviors. Eating meals without tasting them, scrolling on your phone without seeing anything, nodding along in conversations without hearing, driving the same streets without ever noticing the trees that line them. The body repeats, that soul vanishes. I think of the days I drove the same road to the office, entire stretches of a highway I cannot remember, as though I vanished between intersections. And in truth, I had. My hands turned the wheel, but my life was elsewhere. That is the theft of unexamined routine. It steals memory, and with it, meaning. The counter-argument comes quickly, but without routine, we would collapse. Routine keeps the bills paid, the children fed, the work done. Isn't it necessary? Yes, but here is the detour. Necessary does not mean meaningful. Efficiency keeps you alive, but it does not awaken you. A body can live decades on autopilot, and a soul can starve all the while. I remember mornings at the breakfast table when my son was small. I made the same toast, poured the same cereal, skimmed the same newspaper. He would laugh at something silly, spill milk on the counter, ask me a question, and I nodded, half listening, eager to get to the car. Looking back, I realized I wasn't really there. I repeated fatherhood without inhabiting it. And the cost is irreversible. You cannot reheat a moment you never tasted. Routine promises safety, but it delivers numbness. And numbness is a slow death. There is another way, though. I saw it in my partner's tea ritual. Same kettle, same cup, same steam rising, and yet alive every single time, because she was present. She dignified the ordinary with her attention. She did not repeat for survival. She repeated for meaning. And that is the detour waiting for us. Routine drains. Ritual awakens. There was a morning when I caught myself in the act of disappearing. I stood in front of the bathroom mirror, toothbrush in hand, foam gathering at the corners of my mouth, and I realized I had no memory of brushing my teeth the day before. Or the day before that. The act was happening, but I wasn't there. My hand moved, my mouth opened, the bristles scratched, but my mind had drifted elsewhere. It wasn't just yesterday's brushing I had forgotten. It was entire seasons, whole years that seemed to have dissolved into nothing. The realization startled me. If something as small and simple as brushing could vanish me, what else had I lost? How much of my own life had slipped away in the disguise of routine? The answer came later, in a quieter way. My partner's tea ritual. Every evening she boiled water, placed leaves in the strainer, and waited. I can still hear the whistle of the kettle, sharp but somehow comforting, like a familiar song. She poured the water, watched the steam curl upward, and then, without hurry, lifted the cup to her lips. She never gulped. She never multitasked. She sat, she sipped, she breathed. It was the same every single day, and yet I can remember hundreds of those evenings vividly. Not because the act itself changed, but because she was fully there. The tea was never just hot water on leaves, it was presence in liquid form. I once teased her and asked, "Doesn't it get boring?" She smiled gently and said, "Not if you taste it." At the time, I brushed her answer aside. But now those words return with the ache of loss. She had found a way to be alive in repetition, while I had been drifting, absent from my own life. There is one night that stays with me more than others. She poured 2 cups, one for her, one for me. I held mine in my hands, drank it quickly, and went straight back to my phone. She noticed, though she didn't scold. Only a quiet smile, tender and a little sad. I didn't realize then that she was offering me more than tea. She was offering me a doorway into presence. She was showing me how ritual could dignify the ordinary, how steam rising from a cup could become a reminder of breath, of wonder, of aliveness. And I missed it. Now that she is gone, the memory burns deeper. The steam rising from her cup is the image that lingers. The same act, repeated daily, yet alive every time. And me, the same acts, repeated daily, but hollow. That is the cost I carry, not simply the routines themselves, but the years I forgot to taste them. The more I sit with it, the more I see. Repetition is not the enemy. It is neutral, waiting to be claimed. Presence is what decides whether repetition becomes a cage or a consecration. For years I blamed the sameness. I said to myself, it's the monotony that kills me. But sameness doesn't kill. Inattention does. Sameness can be the soil where meaning grows, or it can be the dust where memory disappears. What matters is not the act itself, but the spirit brought to it. Think of the wind in the trees. To inattentive ears, it may sound the same each day, a background noise to be ignored. But listen closely and you hear that every rustle is different. Each gust bends the branches in its own way, each sound carrying a new texture. Life is like that. Routine without attention is emptiness. Routine with attention becomes ritual, and ritual has the power to awaken us. The toothbrush can remain a deadened chore, or it can be a moment of noticing the cool sting of mint, the pressure of bristles, the gratitude of having teeth to care for. The commute can remain a blur of impatience, or it can become a moment of rhythm, the hum of the engine, the rise and fall of breath, the pause at the red light that finally allows you to see the rain streaking down the glass. A meal can be swallowed in distraction, or savored as if it were the very evidence of life itself. For so long, I mistook efficiency for living. I told myself that getting through the list was enough, that moving swiftly was the same as moving meaningfully, but efficiency is only survival. It may keep the body going, but it does not awaken the soul. What I longed for, though I could not name it, was not just survival, it was meaning. And meaning does not arrive in rare fireworks, in exotic adventures, in once-in-a-lifetime experiences. Meaning hides in the repeated act, the one you already perform, if you are willing to be present. I once thought, if every day is the same, then what is the point? Now I see it differently. If every day is the same, that is the point. Because life is not elsewhere. It is here. It is already being offered in the familiar gestures you perform again and again. The question is whether you enter them awake. Ritual dignifies what routine drains. Ritual is not another act to add to the calendar. It is the same act lived differently. Tasted, noticed, breathed. When you repeat without attention, you survive. When you repeat with reverence, you live. This is why my partner's tea remains etched in me. She did not drink to finish the cup. She drank to inhabit the moment. And so every cup became alive, a small ceremony of presence. Meanwhile, I gulped mine without seeing, and the years slipped by unnoticed. That is the turning. Routine does not have to be your cage. It can be your altar. Repetition does not have to steal life. It can reveal it. You can keep brushing, commuting, cooking, working. The difference is whether you are awake in it. And here lies the contradiction laid bare. You can repeat every day and still miss life, or you can repeat every day and finally find it. I've learned that the question is never whether life repeats itself. Of course it does. The sun rises, the kettle boils, the body breathes, the days pass. The question is whether I will be present enough to inhabit what repeats. For too many years, I lived as though routine was something to endure until something extraordinary happened. I waited for holidays, milestones, rare peaks to remind me that I was alive. But the days between, the countless ordinary days, slipped away unnoticed. They became invisible, and with them, so did I. Now I see differently. I see that the miracle was already in the repetition, that brushing my teeth could be an act of gratitude, that a shared dinner could be a quiet celebration, that even the daily commute could become a kind of moving meditation. Life was never hiding from me. I was hiding from it. And so I say to you, with the tenderness of someone who has wasted too many mornings, routine drains. Ritual awakens. If you live on autopilot, the years will vanish before your eyes. But if you dare to bring attention to the acts you already repeat, you may discover that life has been waiting for you there all along. When I began treating small acts as ritual, something shifted in me. I started with something simple. I stopped rushing my morning coffee. Instead of drinking it, standing, already reaching for the day ahead, I sat down. I held the cup. I noticed the warmth against my palms, the way the steam curled like breath meeting the air. It was the same coffee I had drunk 1,000 times before. But this time, I tasted it. And in that moment, I realized I had been absent for years, not from coffee, but from life itself. That shift has not made my days less repetitive. They are still filled with ordinary rhythms, but they are no longer hollow. They are alive because I am. So I extend this invitation to you. Which of your routines could be reborn as ritual? Which repeated act could you choose to dignify, to enter with presence, to taste as though it were life itself? Because it is. Don't wait for some grand occasion to wake you up. Don't wait for tragedy to remind you that time is fragile. Begin here, in the acts you already perform. In the washing of dishes, in the brushing of teeth, in the pouring of tea. Life is hiding in the ordinary, and ritual is the way to uncover it. I can't give you a map, because your rituals will be your own, but I can offer this. Stop moving so quickly that you disappear. Stop repeating without tasting. Stop surviving on efficiency alone. Choose one act and make it alive. So we return to the contradiction. You can repeat every day and still miss life. Or you can repeat every day and finally find it. I once thought routine was a thief, stealing my years in sameness, but now I see that it was not the routine that stole from me. It was my absence. Life is not waiting somewhere else. It is here, in the acts I perform again and again. When I brushed my teeth half asleep, I missed it. When I gulped down tea distracted, I missed it. When I hurried through meals, commutes, conversations, I missed it. But when my partner lifted her cup with presence, she discovered a holiness in steam rising, in leaves steeping, in the repetition itself. So here is the benediction I carry, and I offer it to you. Don't repeat for survival, repeat for meaning. Let the acts that once drained you awaken you. Let the small gestures become sacred. Let the steam rising from your cup remind you that life is here, right now, waiting to be tasted. Routine will always return. But whether it deadens you or dignifies you depends on how you enter it. So pause, taste, attend, make ritual of what you already repeat. And perhaps then, when you look back at the years behind you, you will not find emptiness, but presence. You will not find absence, but aliveness. You will not find lost time, but sacred time, hidden all along in the ordinary acts you finally chose to see. And when the day ends, and you set the cup down and the steam fades into the still air, may you know it was not wasted, it was alive.